Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Heartwork Hub podcast, where we learn, grow, and share together. Today's guest is a special dear friend of mine who I have known now half our lives, if you can believe that. At this point, we met pretty much the first week of college, a long time ago, it seems, but we've been friends ever since. So I'm happy to welcome Sonya Henry, who is our guest today. So, Sonya, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself? And feel free to share as much or as little as you want with us.
Okay, thank you, Tracy, for having me be a part of your podcast. And the first question is like, who am I? And I think with your introduction, it makes sense. Like, I'm a good friend, I'm a daughter, I'm an African American woman. Um, I am a francophone and a francophile. I'm a seeker of truth and meaning in life. Like those are some of the components of who I am. I love food and drink and fun and spending time with my friends and really getting to know other people. Like those are the cornerstones of who I am and what I feel really define me. But a lot of times when people ask this, they're like, what do you do? Like, that's really what they're getting at. So, what I'm paid to do and what I actually really enjoy doing, I work for an interdisciplinary center within a university that offers training programs focused on coaching, leadership development, and well being. It's the intersection of those three components. And I'm essentially the program manager. My title is different. But that doesn't really define me. But what we do is really meaningful work of getting people aligned with their strengths and their values and giving them some tools to be better employees, more engaged in what they do. And yeah, so that's what I do for a living. And it's very much aligned with my interest. And yeah.
Thanks for sharing. And I like how you pointed out this is who I am. This isn't necessarily what I do, because I do think that is one of the most common things we ask people when we meet a new person. So what do you do? Whereas like, who am I? Who are you as a person? Because we're so much more than what we do. And I think, but for you though, it does sound pretty special that you've got a bit of intersection with who you are and what you do, and that being able to help other people find that place as well. Awesome. So my next question for you is to share one thing you're passionate about. And it could be anything in the world. You can just share something that you're passionate about.
Okay. So most times when people ask this question, it's like something that gets them excited, right? But the root word of passion is like really what is something that you're willing to suffer for, right?
Ooh,
Right?
yeah.
And so when I frame it that way, I'm like, who I have to really like love something in order to suffer for it. Cause like sometimes when you're navigating your passions, it's not always like easy, right?
Hmm.
And so I would say the thing that I'm most passionate about is like learning and growing. And that's just like a broad answer. But I really like whatever it is, if it's something personally that you're developing, or if it's something that I want to work on in my career to kind of engage, to get better into that next level, like learning something new, sometimes putting my nose to the ground to kind of grow and develop and become just a um more well-rounded person is very important to me, and not just for like a self-fulfilling reason, but I think when we learn more, we're able to better connect with other people and we're able to kind of share our wisdom and our experiences to make someone else's load a little lighter and their life a little brighter, right? And so that I would say in a nutshell is what I'm passionate about. And I pursue that in a lot of different ways. You know, I have Argentine tango pictures in my office space and in my dining room, and that was something that I was very passionate about in college, you know, and throughout my adult life on and off. And I have suffered from learning that dance, you know, but it's brought great joy as well. So yeah, that learning piece can be applied to a variety of areas, and I think that's the focal point of my passion.
Yeah, and we definitely have that in common because consider myself a lifelong learner. But what I'm actually finding in this period of my life, particularly, that I'm consuming and learning. But what I need to do is more doing. I need to do more action, actually, instead of just consuming all the time. So there is that piece of like learning, but you said growing. And that's the piece of taking the action, taking the step, doing the next thing that you need to do.
Mhm.
So, I mean, your example of Argentine tango is the perfect example of that. It's something you're passionate about that you took action on. Can you share something that makes your heart happy?
Hmm.
And this
There
can
are
be
a lot of things.
interpreted. Yeah, like it can be interpreted in so many ways. So, however you interpret it.
Well, right now, you know, just kind of where I am in life, I have a big focus on micro moments of joy, right?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to steal
Because
that. I love that.
I said it first here.
Okay,
No,
it's here, trademark now. Gotcha. I'm gonna quote you every time.
well, and it may not even be original to me. I think maybe Barbara Erickson, who's like positive psychology, yeah, a positive psychologist. I think maybe she coined that term. But basically, I think sometimes in our culture, there's a focus on like living your best life and having these huge moments to kind of uh, indicate your happiness and your joy. But there are just really micro moments every day where I'm just like, I have to like pause and savor, like, wow, like on a Saturday morning, having like kind of an open schedule and really being able to do what I want to do the whole day and not feeling rushed or pulled. And just like that moment of waking up and having like, making my coffee and just sitting down and just having like that stillness and that peace to like reflect and just be like those are some of those moments that I'm talking about that's just so happy. I mean, spending this time with you and catching up, that's, you know, a micro moment of joy, right? And so I would say if at the end of a day, I can specify like 3 or 4 moments where I just was able to pause and savor, um, that kind of sweet, mundane, but magicalness of life, those that makes my heart happy because there have been times in my life where I wasn't able to savor or recognize that, right? And I think the accumulation of multiple moments, multiple micro moments that keeps me well and that keeps my heart happy. So, yeah.
I love that. And I and I feel the same way. We were talking before we went on the recording here about it kind of being a little bit of an off day, maybe not feeling the best selves. And I think you pointing out that this was a micro moment of us being able to reconnect and share with each other because I was kind of feeling down and sad today. And just seeing you and talking with you, just it did bring me so much joy. And I don't want to take those moments for granted. So it is easy to think about things that we do like in the morning, like the cup of coffee, as just being a normal part of our day, but it could be something that's pretty joyful and peaceful and relaxing. And we don't stop. It's like that phrase, right? Stop and smell the roses. And you used stop and kind of savor this moment or this micro moment of joy. And I'm gonna be more intentional about that, I think, recognizing those because it's easy to fixate on the things that are going wrong or that make us upset or frustrated or angry. But probably within that day, there were
Mhm,
just as many things that were micro moments of joy that maybe we missed because we were being overshadowed by these other things. That's not to
mhm.
say that some of those other feelings are not valid because they totally are. But I
Right.
think being able to recognize those in the moment is a skill because it's often you look back and not in the moment that you realize it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, we're as humans, we're kind of rewired, or we are wired to focus on the negative, right? There's a
Mhm.
lot of research on that. And the happiest people that I know are not like Pollyanna optimists. They're realists, and they train themselves deliberately, like, and intentionally over and over to focus on more positive things and to recognize them when they're happening and to reflect on them, right? And so what you said, it is a muscle, it is training, it is a little bit of work because I'm naturally not, I'm very like a deep thinker, and I can get a little bit in the weeds on things and fixate it, and I really have to like train myself and remind myself, like, take a deep breath, or, this is actually really good right now. Like, just sit in this, right? And the more I do it, the better I get at it. And I always like sharing with other people that, well-being and happiness is not always these big things. There are a lot of ways to celebrate and to appreciate smaller scale moments and experiences, and that life is having a balance of the good and the bad, and really taking the wisdom and strength from those experiences to improve your life and those around you. And I think when you have that sense of meaning, your heart is happy, but also like the people around you, right? And so that's definitely how I try to navigate life as much as possible.
Yeah, it's true because our auras, I don't know if that's the right thing, but like how we are impacts the people around us and how the people around us are impact us, right? So it is kind of a cumulative community effect. So if
Mhm.
we can all take time to recognize those things, we can lift up the people around us as well. So that kind of segues into the last question that I like to ask, which is how you practice self-care and or advice that you would give to somebody who's struggling with that and doesn't even know where to start. And you kind of being in that space for your job, I think maybe can offer some wisdom into what you do, but also some helpful tips that someone else could take away from this.
Okay. So I love self-care. I think it is vital. It's not selfish. It is absolutely necessary. And I would say I take a pretty strategic approach, right? And so I would say the baseline is really aspects of physical well-being and health. So I prioritize my sleep and my rest, and I really listen to my body. I try to eat relatively well. I can always improve. I love French fries, so I gotta balance that, right? But yeah, just making sure I'm hydrated and getting a variety of food that is mostly nutritious, but not fixating too much on it. And then I love people, so keeping in touch with my friends and family is very important to me. If that's phone calls, texts, meeting up for dinner, certainly prioritizing those social connections. And I also think, and there's some research behind this, but having interactions with strangers, just saying hello, complimenting someone on their earrings or their scarf or whatever, um, those little moments of interaction actually does something good for our spirits and our well-being. So just making sure that I'm connecting with other people. And then I would say just like another practice is journaling. I don't do it every day, probably on average weekly, and I'll just kind of recap what's been going on, my feelings, etc. And it's really nice to look back and just see like, oh, I've I'm past this, or I no longer feel this way, or oh, that's interesting that I still was saying similar things 2 or 3 years ago, right? And so it's just really important to document my life in that way, to just kind of witness my growth and experiences in a real way. So I would say those are like the cornerstones of my well-being. And just knowing a variety of strategies kind of in my toolkit when I'm kind of in the dumps, right? I have some other like special things that I'll do for self care. If that's like scheduling a spa day, if that's increasing my exercise to kind of just get more endorphins, like exercise is not only important for your physical health, it's possibly more important for your mental health, just with that consistency there. So, yeah, I love self-care, and I think, framing it as being something that's strategic is something that I don't hear as often. People typically frame it as something more indulgent, but there's just a variety of tools that we can pull from to make sure that we're healthy and just doing putting ourselves in a way each day to be as successful and productive and purposeful as possible.
Absolutely. And I mean, I can definitely echo those sentiments that it can be strategic and something that maybe we should focus on as we go rather than reaching the point of exhaustion and kind of looking back and saying, "Oh my gosh, I wish I would have done that." And I recognize that everybody's in a different space and everyone has different privileges to be able to do certain things and not do certain things. And so I think that goes back to maybe your micro moments and being able to recognize those moments of joy, because that also maybe can be a form of self-care, is like recognizing these things. And I think you're right. When we smile or do good things for others, that also brings us joy and happiness and kind of lifts us up. So all great points.
Thank
Sonia, it's
you.
been so lovely chatting with you today. Is there anything else that you just wanted to share with the world that I didn't ask you or you didn't get to mention?
Um, I don't think so, but I would just encourage everyone to check out Heartwork Hub because Tracy is doing great things and she's really giving opportunities to a variety of people to share their experiences, along with, you sharing your wisdom. And I think it's just a great platform that you have here. And I'm really proud of you. Like it's a pleasure to remember us at like 18,
Yeah.
freshman in college, first day, first week of school to like where we are now. So this has just been a really good opportunity.
Thank you, and thanks for plugging me. I think the thing that I'm doing now is that piece I talked about earlier about taking action, even though I'm still learning, because I feel like the learning piece can paralyze me sometimes and feeling like I'm not ready. I don't have this all figured out yet. I don't know what this is gonna be. But like this platform that I'm trying to create and this opportunity, I think, it's a work in progress.
Yeah,
But if you're watching this and you feel like you want to talk and be on this, send me a message and I'll put some information in the description about some of the projects I have coming up. So stay tuned for all of that goodness. And hopefully, Sonia will be back to join us in future episodes.
we'll love that. Thank you.
Yeah. You have to say yes because you're on camera now, even though I could edit it out.
No, I'd love to. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Sonia. And I really look forward to talking to you more and seeing what more you do, my wonderful, inspirational, and talented friend that I'm so grateful to have. Yeah, this is a good ending, right? The Heartwork
Yes.
Hub. Okay, well, thank you all for watching today, and we will see you in the next episode.